Hello, fellow bugs. Welcome to Purple Titk, in a series about lessons learned in the journey of my project car Miata, specifically what to and not to do. This series starts with me having no knowledge of cars or working on them, to eventually building race engines, custom wiring harnesses, doing engine swaps, and even doing a rebuild title process on this car and others. For more details on what I have done and learned since, smash that bell, subscribe, eat some grass, like, and comment. Let me know what you would like to see more of. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Last episode, Purple Titk continued restoration and started modifying the Miata. In this episode, Purple Titk continues with modifications and starts preparing for an engine swap.
Welcome back, fellow bugs. I started out by just looking at it in the blog and seeing what condition, and then looking online what is what, because at this point I've never been inside an engine. I don't really know what's going on. So I removed the head. And here's like from the trunks. I think I did go ahead and just paint the top Rust-Oleum because the paint just didn't come out good. I also did use Bondo to fill in the tail light, and I didn't show this earlier. I mean, I didn't mention this earlier, but I did that before I painted it. And here's what the Miata looks like then. So back to the head, I went ahead and I started cleaning it. So at this point, I don't think I took it to the shop yet. But I took it off and I started just cleaning it very well and lubing it and just, checking everything and setting all the gaskets and stuff. And then I went ahead and I finally got to install one of those first mods by installing the coilovers. I got the coilovers here and then had my friend help me install them. Another one is the intake manifold was really, really dirty. So I went ahead and I took it off, and it was pretty scuffed up too, so I sanded it down, just move it out a bit, and then I got it ready for paint. And then this is when I first put the BC coilovers. I lowered the car a bunch, and it was just too low. So eventually I did have to raise it up. I didn't like how it was so low. So here's kind of where I started diving even more and more into the forums and stuff, and I was looking into the coolant reroutes, and I didn't really want to spend money on a kit, so I did it the DIY route, and I would just recommend you guys buy a kit, really. And what I did here is I cut this plate of aluminum out myself. So yeah, I took a piece of aluminum that's just some cheap ass aluminum, and I drilled the 2 holes, and then I just bolted it on with some RTV black behind it. And I also cut out some from the same aluminum for the intake to block out the EGR. All the exhaust gases and stuff, and because I was kind of getting rid of that. And then my bushings for the headlights, the pop-ups, kind of failed, so I went ahead and redesigned them, modeled them, and this is not the final version because the teeth were too fragile with a normal 3D printer, FDM. So I do have a version that works, and that's what I currently use. And here's kind of what it looks like installed, working. And then I helped my friend work with his Miata to design this plate for gauges, switches, and a Raspberry Pi dash that he wanted installed in his car. It's also an NA. It's also a 95, 96, but it has a NB dash and NB swap and drivetrain swap in it. Here's another view of it. And then back to my valve cover as I started working on it. I went ahead and did the syringe method with some enamel paint, and I filled in the letters on the valve cover. And here's the syringes and the tester's paint that I used. And this is what it looked like when it was concluded. It came out very, very well. Here's another picture of the Miata. And then I had this floppy old shifter in there, and I really wanted to clean it up and have it so it shifts nicely. So I went ahead and rebuilt the shifter, and this is what it looked like before. It was really gunked up in there. It just had a bunch of old debris and stuff in there. And then for the DIY cooling rear, I bought one of these things here, which is a thermostat holder. It just holds a thermostat. And I would just recommend you guys avoid this whole type of DIY kit because I had so many issues, and the person that has this kit now, same issues as well. It just doesn't do a good job reliably, and it takes up a lot of space. But here I also put the NB coils because I was preparing for the swap. And just to make it clear, it's like this is not just, you know, you put a new head in the car or whatever and you're all good. You got to go full standalone ECU and rewire your whole engine bay to get the NB components to work properly. The good thing is the forms of kits on that. And here is another picture of the Miata. Here's after I rebuilt the shifter, after I cleaned all that gunk out. Brand new oil in there. I got the new bushing, the new bushings and stuff on the shifter, and it felt good. It felt alright. And then here's another ricer mod I did on that, and you can see the door is not perfectly matched after I painted it. I put these cheap eBay Formula One style side mirrors, and they're just really bad. Like, they're really bad. They just wobble like crazy, and they looked really cool when I did them. I mean, now I don't think they look cool, but they wobble like crazy. I don't think they suit the car because it's just too bubbly and those are too aggressive. And here's more pictures of the door after I painted it before I put it on. So you just Rust-Oleum white. And I think the Rust-Oleum is one of the best paints you can put on a car, single stage. And then I tried doing a push to start button installation, and I got it to work, but then I realized that if I'm gonna put the key, I need the key in there so it unlocks the steering wheel, so it lets you rotate it, and I don't want to have to cut that mechanism out. So I figured, you know what, screw it. I gave it to my friend, and I kept the car with the regular key, because I just don't want to have to, you know, where someone can just steal the car and by just moving the steering wheel and rolling it wherever they want in the trailer or whatever. So I didn't want that to happen. But this is kind of when I dove even more into the electronics and going in the car. Here's another picture. So this is after I bought my first pair of wheels for it. I got the JNC 01s, and they were in the car for a long time. I had some cheap purple anodized aluminum eBay lug nuts, and I got rid of the pinstripe on the car, and I think it was looking a lot better at the time. Still a little ricer, but you can kind of see where this is going. And then I had to install the underglow, and what you see on the hood here is the washer reservoir, which I'll tell you now, I bought that in September 2020, so 3 years ago, and to this day it's been 3 years and I still haven't wired it up, and it's installed. I just don't have any hoses or nozzle spraying it. I just haven't used it since, so really no need. I wouldn't recommend people invest in that. You're better off just not having a washer nozzle at all. And here's a video rocking the RGB underglow. So that VVT block from the engine I had bought previously that I mentioned, I went ahead and I started taking it apart, and you may notice here this piston looks a little wavy. The other pistons were good. This one was curved. There was no metal shaving, no nothing. Everything looked good. The what's it called? The lines on the block looked really good. And yeah, here's another picture of the pistons and how curved it was, as well as me holding it. And then this is kind of where it's starting getting serious. I spent what? I think this was like 700 or something, shipped from, I don't know if it was Australia or New Zealand or something like that. I think New Zealand. From BoFi Racing, I bought the Mini Megascore 3 standalone ECU, and I would not recommend anyone get a standalone. Just stick with the regular car and your regular ECU, and don't go into this level of modifications, really. So here, this is for the VVT. I started working on all the parts for the VVT, trying to get it all ready so it's just ready to go inside the car once it's all done. So for this is the piece that goes from the water pump outlet, and I really wanted to modify because I wasn't going to run a heater core. I wasn't going to run any of the other pipes that normally go from the coolant system. I just wanted a simple line from the water pump to the radiator and back to the head and whatever. So I took it and I started cutting off that part, and I made it flush. And this should do it for this episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Purple Titk out.
To recap, Purple Titk continues modification and preps for an engine swap. Next episode, we continue with the engine swap and prepare for worst as Purple Titk's friend drills a hole through the finished engine.